He is responsible for the Asset Protection and Security Services department within the Tshwane Metropolis department. So if I say he's responsible for Asset Protection and Security Services, I refer to the assets of the municipality, whether it's the reservoirs, whether it is the substations, whether it is the libraries, whether it is any building of the municipality. He must make sure that there is no vandalism, no theft, no break-ins, and he must work hand in hand with the COO, which is the custodian of those assets. He is also responsible for the personnel to make sure they are safe where they are. That is his function. In terms of 8.5, Deputy Commissioner position for specialized policing is currently vacant. However, I've got an acting Deputy Commissioner there, Simon Tshwane. Now, the specialized services is all the units within the Tshwane Metropolis Department, whether it's the freeway, whether it is the social crime prevention, whether it is cable theft, whether it is the ones that is dealing with the drug-related matters. All those units is under the Deputy Commissioner of Specialized Services.
And there are overlaps between that and 18.1, Deputy Commissioner responsible for regional policing.
The deputy responsible for regional policing is performing the three functions. She must make sure that in her region, she's doing the traffic enforcement, the bylaw enforcement, and the crime prevention. However, when something is complex, we send the units in. Because if you're only going to be work shifts, so if I'm going to deal with a complaint and I'm on rest day and I'm on night shift, then that complaint never gets dealt with. But if I give, for example, a bylaw complaint where you need to issue a fine, you need to follow up after 7 days, you need to make sure you then, because otherwise if you don't have that unit, sometimes the staff is not, I'm on a rest day, I don't hand over, the next one is giving a fine again, and that complaint gets never ever solved. They specializing in whatever complaints that we're dealing with, and they also make sure that whatever the complaint is, if it's a long-term complaint, it runs its conclusion.
Thank you.
So you are correct, they do overlap. I do encourage, if they sit and plan, that if you have a drug problem in your region, you must make sure that you sit with your counterpart, whether it's the DOC unit, whether it is the unit that also assists with the drug-related, if it's at schools that you want maybe talks, you get social crime prevention in, that is a unit. So all that is, we encourage to do that because they won't be able to do all of those on their own. Thank you, Commissioner.
Sorry, Commissioner. Thank you. Just to interrupt you before you go to paragraph 19, can I just ask you a few questions around your deputy commissioners?
Yes, you may.
If all of them, that's Nomsa, Sean Police, Umashi, and Rivers Peace, and the acting, how long have they been with the TMPD individually?
I appointed 3 deputies in my since 1st of October 2023 to date.
Sorry, I beg your pardon?
I appointed 3 of the deputies.
Okay.
I appointed Deputy Commissioner Nomsa and Slapo, 1st of June 2024. Together with Deputy Commissioner Sean Boleis, they were appointed the same date. In terms of Deputy Commissioner Rivo Spies, I appointed him 1st of March 2025. Then in terms of Deputy Commissioner Umazi Dlamini, when I came, he was already at the TMPD Metropolis Department. And then in terms of the acting Deputy Commissioner, Simon Tshwane, I've appointed him to act in that position until I'm going to fill that position.
And how long was Umashi Dlamini? How long has he been?
I think very, very long. Since the inception of the TMPD.
Okay.
He's been a deputy commissioner in a very, very long time. He's been staff officer, with then Chief, the late Chief Ngumbeni, and then he was with Commissioner Johanna Nkomo. So he is really for a very, very, very long time in the Tshwane Metro Police Department.
Thank you.
He's the longest serving Deputy Commissioner.
Longest serving, okay. And then in terms of Mr. Spies, or Commissioner Spies, we understand that he had retired. Can you just explain how he got back to your unit?
He applied, the post was advertised.
Okay.
And he was the most competent person in the interview. He was exemplary in the interview.
Okay.
So he was the best candidate.
Was the best candidate.
Definitely the best candidate. That's why he was appointed.
Thank you.
Just before you leave the issue of the deputies, good morning, Commissioner Faro.
Good morning, Commissioner Kumalo.
In what I have renumbered 13.1, you say you are in possession of security clearance and you say it's a top level clearance. It's on page 5 of your statement. So I wanted to ask you, do your deputies also have in their possession the security clearance?
Commissioner, I'm going to be very honest with you. Not all of the deputies has got the clearance, SSA clearance.
Why is that? Is it a requirement or is it not a requirement?
As I said, it is a teething process to get your clearance. That is why I'm doing my clearance through SSA. It is a very long process also to do it. However, the commissioners of the Metro Police, the deputies of the Metro Police, the brigadiers of the Metro Police, they should all have this clearance. I know some of the deputies don't have. It was brought under my attention. Some were supposed to go, and or one was supposed to go and did not go. I know of that. In terms of the others, I know that they do have, and then maybe theirs must just be renewed.
But if they are your subordinates, is it not your responsibility to ensure that they have security clearance? Because in the earlier paragraphs, I think it's paragraph 7, you raised an issue about criminality and you say it shocked and dismayed you because the issues that have come out of this commission, according to you, amount to siphoning of money and criminal activities. And one of the people against whom these accusations are leveled is a deputy within the TMPD. So why has he not been subjected to a form of vetting or security clearance?
Commissioner, that is one of the things that we will have to sharpen up. I think we must be honest when we come to this commission. Maybe we have taken it for granted. This is one of the things that must be compulsory. When I applied by the City of Tshwane, it was compulsory. It was one of what it was in the advertisement or one of the requirements that said that you must be security cleared. So I think it's important that this is one of the things that we will have to sharpen on, and then it should be from the start.
Commissioner, can you please flag that it really should not wait for recommendations from this commission? You are responsible for appointment of deputies, so you should look into that. You don't have to wait for a report from this commission. And then on the issue of the members of the TMPD, I'm not talking about the deputies now, I'm talking about the entire force. Can you just give us a number, more or less, how many are there? TMPD
How many do I have? I will give you also, I knew you were going to ask that question. So I went to go make sure that I have the totals. I've got 3,626 Tshwane Metro Police Department officers, but I made sure, because remember, Commissioner, some retire, some, are not with us anymore, some resigned. So I wanted the current total. So the current total is 3,626, and then I've got administrative staff, that's 245. And then I've got APSS, as 1,271.
And can you tell us if they have been subjected to vetting, or if it is a requirement within TMPD that your 3,626 officers should be vetted?
Yes, Commissioner, we do that on an annual basis because we make sure that we do that because you can't get your firearm license renewed. We do not want to give somebody a firearm that's got a section 102 or section 103 against them. So we make sure that the fingerprints are taken. I've got a division that only does that, and we make sure that we test you and make sure that you are vetted. So yes, Commissioner, that is being done. I can promise you that. And we've picked up quite a lot of things because if you obtain or are arrested when you maybe are on leave, or you will not pick it up. If it is that it's maybe in uniform, it's easier. So that is a mechanism for us as well in Tshwane that we pick that up. So I can guarantee you that, yes, we are very strict when it comes to that.
I think you'll agree with me that we don't want criminals within the force.
Commissioner, one thing that I hate is a criminal in uniform.
Yes. And then the last one, sorry, I have to go back to the issue of security clearance, and I don't want you to reveal state secrets here. Maybe let's just keep it to what the terms of reference of this commission are, and maybe the allegations against Deputy Commissioner Dlamini. What does it entail if somebody has to undergo this process and they get a security clearance? What is it that SSA is looking for? And please don't disclose state security and don't disclose how they go about the process. I'm just looking at what are they looking for to ensure that the wrong people do not get appointed to these senior positions.
Commissioner, I will just be very umbrella because I just received my top secret, meaning I must make sure that I keep that top secret and I'm not arrested. So, Commissioner, obviously they look at your financials. They also look at your associates. They look at quite a few things. I think it is a very, very good, you go, with the top secret, you go for polygraph as well. You are subjected to a polygraph. They interview also people that you previously worked with, obviously family members, etc., but it's quite an extensive process and it's a very good process. Within SSA, they actually they also do the lifestyle audit, I will say. So I will say it's a very, very good assessment that they do. And it is something that should be written in your advert. So before you even, if you look at the advert and we know from the start you've got integrity. If you don't want to the job and you must go for your clearance, you must not even apply. Stay whatever you want to do. So I think it's important that we must bring it in, like you have said, Commissioner, we need to put it from certain levels, we need to put it in the advertisement and make sure you either going to object yourself to one, because we do know it is a process that we say that we will start the process with you, or that you will come with my one, they wanted me to come with my security clearance already.
Thank you. Mr. Skakan.
Thank you, Commissioner. Please proceed. Apologies, perhaps before you go there, the 18.5, that's the vacant position. How long has this been vacant?
This position has been vacant for a while. We did start the process. I think we've started the process already. I'm speaking under correction twice or thrice. However, I'm not just going to appoint somebody because I must fill the position. I want to make sure the person is fit for purpose. So if I'm going to appoint a Deputy Commissioner for Specialized Services, it will be a person that will be able to perform the function. So I will rather, if the candidates are not fit, I will rather then make sure that we re-advertise. So that is the only reason why the position hasn't been filled yet.
Just to be clear, how long is a while?
When I came, it was already vacant.
Okay, thank you.
Can I continue?
Please.
The TMPD is a municipal police service of the Tshwane Metropolis, City of Tshwane, and we receive a budget allocation from the city to run its operations and to fulfill its mandate. As such, the officials of the TMPD work closely with city officials from other departments, both administratively and operationally. The TMPD does not procure services on its own. Instead, it is the city supply chain management finance department that does the procurement and management of contracts, authorizing services and payments of such services. However, we do play a role that we have to make sure that in the department of Deputy Commissioner Dlamini, that he needs to process the invoices and create certain documents in order to go to the CFO, accounts payable, and then he must also make sure there's checks and balances before it goes to the department of the CFO, who is responsible for the payment if they are happy with whatever documents is submitted to them or on the system.
Payments are at a later stage of the process, that is, after appointments have been made. In this sentence, you say that the TMPD provides input into the procurement process from inception. What role exactly does it play at those earlier stages, that is before an appointment has been made?
Are you referring to the tenders, Commissioner?
Let's look at, maybe you'll clarify what you mean. Let's look at your last sentence of paragraph 20.
Yes, that is what I mean, but...
However, the TMPD as the end user will provide input into the procurement process. I understand that to refer to stages before the actual appointment, because when you substantiated, you referred to a role that's played by Deputy Commissioner Lamini's section, that role being, or rather, that role relating to payments.
Yes.
So my point is, payments are at a very late stage, which is the procurement process has actually been finalized. A contract is in place, and then there are payments to the successful bidder once services have been provided. So what I'm saying is you refer to procurement process, which I understand to refer to a stage before an appointment.
Commissioner, there's also, Chairperson, there is a stage before as a technical. If you want to procure any equipment,
Yes.
you as the technical expert will have to assist, especially when it comes to the beginning stage, BEC, or bid specifications, BSc. You need to assist them with what exactly is the product that you as the law enforcer wants, because the civilian person won't know. So you will obviously, we will start with what is the end, what do you want the product to do? And then from them you obviously work your way back. So there we assist with technical expertise. However, when it comes to the supply chain management, it is completely with the CFO. And he's also the chairperson of the BAC, and then etc. But we must give that technical, and even if we give the technical advice, there's always somebody from supply chain management that also guide them in terms of the supply chain management policy.
Just to make sure I understand, what you've referred to specifically is the bid specification.
Specifications.
Because TMPD will actually be the client in this instance.
Yes.
And therefore they should be involved in the bid specification, what exactly is required. You've specified there. Is there anything else that you would mention in which TMPD participates before the actual appointment, before the conclusion of a contract?
It should only be, as I said, as a technical advice to assist with that. But it should not be to be part of the supply chain management when it is their role. That is their role. So we should not be involved in that part.
Not in the bid evaluation, not in the bid adjudication, not at those stages of the process.
It must be the department of the CFO that must be involved in all of that, because there is, if people are also like, if this is they take it to the CFO, will identify where it must go, and then they will do it in terms of if you are meeting the requirements of obviously of the advertisement or what, of the product, and there are things that is non-negotiable. You must meet it. And then, so they will do that type of, make sure that whoever is there is compliant in terms of what they are looking for.
Thank you, thank you.
Commissioner, you're discussing the tender process, as I understand it. Can I just ask a slightly different question? We've had evidence about the procurement of ad hoc security services. Now, as I understood the evidence, the companies that are required or that are requested to provide that service are already on a panel, right? So you've done that tender process, and now you have a panel, and you must select ad hoc services from that panel. What is the role or the involvement of Deputy Commissioner Dlamini in that process of selecting who the companies that are invited to now provide ad hoc services at any site?
Commissioner, that should be with APSS. That should be strictly with the Asset Protection Security Service Department, because that's why you've got people appointed there that will fulfill that role.
So that will fall under Deputy Commissioner Spies?
Yes, 100%, Commissioner.
Okay. Maybe then explain a little bit more. What do you mean when you say that Deputy Commissioner Dlamini is involved with procurement? You have clarified the payment processes, invoices. But apart from that, what does it mean that he's responsible for procurement?
His role is administration and support. Meaning if you're an operational person, you won't know the SCM processes or procurement processes or how to get to the procurement. So he is there to support, assist them to if I am if I am specialized services and I require maybe dog food, for example, he must assist me, and I am the person that know what the dogs need. If they need nutrition, if they need a vet, when must they get the injections, etc. So I will have that. He will make sure that I do it the correct way, because as an operational person, you won't know how to follow that. So he will have to assist, but they can also do it on their own. But they can go to him to ask for assistance as well.
Sticking with that example, that kind of procurement, it doesn't go to the city. It is something that gets sorted out at TMPD level. Is that what your explanation means?
No, all procurement goes to the city. We don't ourselves procure. No, Commissioner. All procurement processes are finalized by the CFO.
Okay.
It goes to the CFO. It goes to the BAC.
Okay.
All procurement. There's nothing that TMPD on their own will have their own little BACs, and that. We will just be as I said, we will assist in attending because we are the expert, and we will also assist in getting the specifications right. However, everything is with the CFO. We do not have a department. He doesn't have his own department. He is also not a CFO.
Okay, just to make sure I understand. So the administrative person or operational person that you say must obtain or get dog food, that's a person sitting at the city. not TMPD.
not TMPD at the
Okay,
city.
thank you, that clarifies it, thank you.
At the city.
I think we sort of got lost, Commissioner Faro, because when Commissioner Baloyi asked you a question, she had moved on from a normal tender process and was asking about ad hoc security services. And the question was, in that process, does TMPD play a part? And I had understood the evidence we had before the Easter break to be that the person who issues purchase orders is actually somebody from the TMPD. So I'm a little confused now when you say it's the city, it's not TMPD. Because then how does Mr. Mnisi, and we'll come to him later on, how does he get involved in all these things that we've come to know about?
Commissioner, yes, I think there's a little bit of confusion. If it is, remember that tender or that month-to-month is already in place.
Yes.
So yes, there will be a creation by our side.
And when
However,
you say your side, TMPD,
it will be TMPD, it will
Of
be
the
by
purchase orders.
administrative, it will be
Yes.
under administrative and support.
Yes.
They will create that. But in order for them, and then the invoice must come, the person responsible by APSS must make sure the invoice that he must make sure it gets stamped, and yes, we did deploy 10 security guards ad hoc at the Madlanga Commission. And then it must be verified because we also have people that go check. We must make sure that your check-in is verified. So once that invoice, then you're supposed to only process that invoice.
So to that extent, TMPD does play a part in procurement.
Yes, if it comes to that part, but when it comes to payment, it goes to the CFO to pay. After he has also is satisfied that the documents, that we've done our checks and balances.
And Commissioner, why are you trying to implicate the Madlanga Commission now? You're putting us on trial, and that was not the purpose of the question.
I've got a
Are
punchline
you
when I'm
forcing
done.
Chair to come and give evidence now?
I've got a punchline, Commissioner, when I'm done.
Thank you.
Can I just interfere or continue so that we follow this? Are you saying that in the entire procurement process, other than at specification stage, the TMPD does not play a role? For example, no one from TMPD would sit in the BEC committee, in the bid evaluation committee?
But the evaluation committee is the chairperson there is the CFO if it comes to the city of Tshwane. He is the chairperson of the bid evaluation committee.
I'm just following up from the question from the chair. Would there be someone from the TMPD?
TMPD play a role with the, like we said, with the bid specifications. Like today, Deputy Commissioner Spies is in the BEC. He will be there. But with the bid evaluation committee, the chairperson there is the CFO. So yes, we do play a role. However, the chairperson is there. The CFO is the chairperson there.
Okay, thank you. And
Say bid evaluation committee is chaired by the CFO, you mean the bid adjudication
The
committee? Because that's
BAC, the BAC.
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 Yes, thank
The
you.
BAC is the chairperson.
and who is
Just to make, please go ahead,
no,
please go
that's fine.
ahead.
I was just
Mrs.
following up,
Kane.
but
Oh,
go on,
all
Chair.
right, all right. Just to make sure I understand, I understood perfectly when you said that the TMPD plays a role in the bid specification process. That I understood, because it's the client, as it were. So, and it is a TMPD that knows what they want.
Yes.
Now you said Deputy Commissioner Spies is at the, did you mean
BEC.
BE, Bid Evaluation
Evaluation
Committee,
Committee.
not adjudication, so BEC.
Yes.
What role exactly does he play there? Is he a member of the BEC or Does he have observer status?
Obviously, he will have to make sure also when he's there as the product expert, let me put it that way.
Is he a member? Is he a member?
Yes, he will then be a member, and he will be then appointed by the city manager, gives you that letter.
Okay. That's exactly what I was trying to establish earlier when I asked you what role exactly the TMPD plays. And what you emphasized was the role that it plays in the bid specification process. So I now hear something additional,
Okay.
which is participation even in the BEC.
Yes.
Yeah. Is there anything else that you may have left out?
You've
Just in
said
the
that.
procurement process.
If you appoint, although you have the administration and support, but if you have a product expert, that person will be the project manager from TMPD. I just wanted to add that, and it will come into context later. So if
Please repeat that, I'm not sure.
if say Deputy Commissioner species now by the BEC, so it won't be that the Deputy Commissioner of Admin and Support is running that role, or it will be Deputy Commissioner species because it is in relation to his product or his area of, or his scope.
Yes.
So that is why he is there. I just wanted to make that clear.
Oh, yeah.
That's why he is there.
So if it relates to
So
some other section, it will be another
will be-
deputy, the relevant deputy.
You are correct,
All right,
Chair.
thank you.
You are
Thank you.
correct. Relevant to the product.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Commissioner.
Chair.
Can I just, I do apologize that we said we'll try and not interrupt you, but I just want to clarify a few things, Chair, and I wouldn't want to saddle you with picking up files, but I just put it on the record. That's file 2 and page 1. Could you please just assist? Now, this is at specification level for the initial tender, the security tender. Let's just, page 1 of file 2. Are you there, Commissioner?
I'm there. Thank you.
Thank you. So you'll see this relates to, you'll see that relates to the security tender TMPD 02, 2015-2016. At the top.
The number before the years
Is
2015
20, yes,
slash
yes,
2016
2015-2016.
is smudged.
Yeah.
On my copy, I assume
Is
it's
it
the same
smudged?
with
Apologies, Chair, I'm just making one point truly. It's
Yeah.
not relevant as such. But what we...
But from the content, do you agree with Mr. Skakane that that's the tender?
I just want to, Commissioners, as you can see there, if you go to contact person, for example, and the person there, as I explained now, that was the product expert.
Before you go there, do you want to please confirm what Mr. Skakane wanted you to confirm, which is the tender number? Whether it's what, 02, Mr. Skakane?
Is it,
Apologies, it looks like 02.
this is 02.
Yes, oh, okay.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, all right.
Essentially, my point is that obviously this relates to guarding services. But what we see there is a certain, as a contact person, as you've started, is Director Malachi. Who's
Correct.
Director Malachi?
Director Malachi is the Director for Protection Services by APSS.
And ordinarily, does he report to you?
He reports to Deputy Commissioner Spies.
Okay. And then So that, this is at this point of specification. If we go further, at page 202, I do apologize.
Where do we see here, Mr. Kakane, that this is about specification? Just refer us to the relevant part.
Oh, apologies, Chair. I think it's literally from the point where it's starting from what's this thing? Compulsory briefing session for the tender. But it's not that there is a word
All
that
right,
says
okay.
specification.
All right. All right, please continue.
Thank you. I'll refer to Chair, but at 202, this is the process. This is where this tender is being at valuation level, and it states in the middle of the page there's PD valuation committee members. You see that?
Yes, I see it.
And you see that Mr. Chugudu Malachi is part of the BEC.
Yes, I see.
Okay. Thank you. The point I was just making is the involvement of TMPD in the entire process. Thank you, Chair.
Perhaps, Commissioner, Mrs. Kakane, the answer to the chairperson's question, you find it in file 1 at page 57. That's part of the, I think that document is called the Supply Chain Management Policy. If you go to page 57, and then paragraph 2 right at the bottom tells you who constitutes the BEC, and paragraph B thereof. Do you see where I'm reading, Commissioner? That file 1 that had your statement.
Oh, and by file 2.
The one that has your statement?
On my statement?
Yes,
Okay.
the file that has your statement.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner.
At page 57, so
Yes.
this is the supply chain management policy that we are looking at, and at 57, 2B, it tells you who, in fact, 2 tells you who makes up the BEC, and B says it will be composed of officials from the departments requiring the goods and services. I think that's the answer to the chairperson's question. Who is in the BEC and what is their role? You see that?
Yes, I see that, Commissioner.
Thank you.
I see that, Commissioner.
Thank you,
Yes.
Mrs. Kakan.
Thank you. Please
Thank you,
proceed.
Commissioner.
Is there anything that stops Mr. Mnisi from appointing an official from TMPD into the BAC? Is that precluded? Because he's the one who constitutes these committees. Is there anything that stops him from appointing the same Mr. Malachi to be a member of the BAC?
Commissioner, if I can see what you are referring to, then I can maybe. I know that evidence leader has now pointed out in terms of the BEC and as well as the BS conditions that was now that Commissioner Beloya has now made clear here. If there's any way that you, if we come there, if you can just point that out for me so that I can just look at that evidence.
So in page
57.
Sorry. On page 57 of Annexure YF1,
Yes.
Commissioner Baloyi referred you to the bid evaluation committee and its composition. And the main paragraph 2 says all the standing BECs established by the accounting officer must, And then B says composed of officials from the departments requiring goods and services. So those are the end users. And then if you go to page 59, I'm not sure if this is the rest of the policy. There seem to be the concluding page is missing. But it deals with the composition of the bid adjudication committee, and you see that in 2.24.3. And I had understood you to be saying earlier that the CFO is responsible for the procurement process, so he will appoint members of these committees. And my question was, is there anything that precludes him from appointing a Commissioner's Peace or a Mr. Malachi to be members of the BAC? So it is all tied to Chair's question, does the TMPD play any role in the procurement process? And we've established that at specifications they are there. We've established that at evaluation they should be there, the policy says so. So the last leg of it is, in the adjudication phase, is there anything that precludes the CFO from appointing a TMPD official to be a member of the adjudication committee?
Commissioner, my understanding is that the accounting officer is appointing. The accounting officer,
The city manager.
the city manager.
So is there anything that precludes the city manager from appointing a Commissioner's Peace to be a member of the BAC?
You're talking about the city manager?
Yes. Remember, we concerned with whether TMPD plays any role in the adjudication process. And I had understood your earlier answer to be they don't play a role there. But my question is there anything that stops whoever the appointing authority is from appointing a TMPD officer or any of the deputies or even you to sit in the BAC to evaluate or adjudicate a particular tender? And to be fair to you, Commissioner, if you are not sure, maybe you can provide the answer at a later date or through a supplementary statement, because it's going to be important when we make our recommendations. If we see that there are gaps in how security services are procured, then we should close that gap as well. So if you don't have an answer right now, it's unfair of me to, on the spot, expect you to give the answer. It's something that if you're not sure, you can deal with it at a later stage.
Commissioner, I will prefer to give a supplementary in that regard. I want to make 100% sure. I want to dot my I's and make sure that I look at all the, I could look at the MFMA, I look at the SCM. I really want to give a proper answer. So, and you are correct. So if there is maybe recommendations that we can put in place, and if it is that something has happened or it can happen in future, we will have to make sure that that doesn't repeat itself again, or maybe if it hasn't happened in future, it can happen in future. So I will prefer that I get that homework, and then I will give the supplementary, a detailed one also, and quote also from the SCM policy, and also look at all the municipal sorts of policies and how it can be done. So if I can be able to get homework, I will prefer that.
If I understand Commissioner Kumalo's question correctly, it relates to the appointment of members of the bid adjudication committee. I want to take you back to the BEC, the bid evaluation committee, and paragraph 2 at page 57, which Commissioner Malloy referred you to. I see there's reference there to the word standing. All the standing BECs established by the accounting officer must, then AB, and so on. I just want to focus on the word standing. what exactly, what's the import of that word here? Does it suggest that there are standing BECs and also ad hoc BECs, or what exactly is the import of that word?
Commissioner, how I understand it, if you in that relation, it must be a BEC that is obviously signed off by the accounting officer. I cannot have my own BEC. It must be standing BECs established by the accounting officer. That is how I understand it. My main 2 words I'm taking from there, or 3 words, is it must be established by the accounting officer.
Yes, I do realize, of course, that as the commissioner of the TMPD, you are not necessarily an expert in procurement, so perhaps we are putting you in a difficult position.
No, that is
to the
very good,
extent,
Commissioner.
Sorry. Sorry, you said what?
I said, no, Commissioner, this is very good.
Yes.
You cannot walk away from here and you don't learn.
Yes,
Or maybe you've read it. I've read it 1,000 times.
Yes.
But I see Commissioners breaking it down. So it gives me. I'm learning something, and it's good to learn.
Yes.
So as you say that I'm not an expert when it comes to supply chain management. Obviously,
Yes, yes. Of course, it does not. I'm not suggesting that you know nothing about it. Not at all. Perhaps when you do that supplementary affidavit, you may also just want to touch on the import of the word standing in 24.22, paragraph 20, clause 24.22. But of course, if somebody with more knowledge on matters relating to procurement will be called, then is that person who may
don't give my homework away, Commissioner.
the necessary evidence
So
in this
I will write it out 20 times,
Thank
and I
you.
won't forget.
Thank you, thank you. Yes, Mrs. Kakani.
Sorry, before that, maybe Commissioner, as you do that exercise, you should look, when you look at 24, 1B, it's the one that speaks about a standing bid evaluation committee. And then it tells us what committees those are. I think it's a services infrastructure and corporate services. Those are your standing committees. And then when you then go on to another paragraph, 25.15 at page 59, it says the accounting officer may appoint other special BECs as and when the need arises. So keep that in mind. But also look at the functions of the standing committees. So for example, you will find somewhere that the corporate services standing committee, BEC, is also responsible for TMPD tenders, among others. So maybe that whole 24-25, look at that as you try to resolve who's responsible for what.
Thank you, Commissioner Baloyi. I'll do that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners. And of course, I think other people from SEM are still going to come. Perhaps they will also try and break down these issues about the BECs. In terms of the budgets, from the specification stage onwards, how do you have any knowledge how that is dealt with? So for example, for these security services, what informs the budget and how far, what powers would the user department have in relation to budget? So for example, if it's 800 million, how would it be determined?
It's the amount of sites that is allocated, and then how many sites that needs to be guarded. And then obviously it will be, make sure that how much the amount that must be paid to the service provider, how many cards, and then that will be, that you will times that per month, and then obviously by 12. So that actually informs the budget.
Yeah, okay. Then what I'm trying to get at is whether, for example, let's say, a certain official that is responsible, Mr. Malachi, for example, and I'm not picking on him. He would inform in the specification meeting or committee that we require this budget for these services or for this tender, and then let the other members know that this is what we require, let's say 800 million, and then who has the final decision on the actual funds? That would be the value. Would it be the CFO?
The budget it's every year, so the budget is already there. So in terms of how many, we've got, as I said, we've got in-source security, that is, we've got in-source and outsource security. Now the in-source is the 1,271 that we have.
So
And-
perhaps maybe let me clarify my question, and I do apologize. If in a scenario where the budget, is there no way of checking whether the budget requested is higher than what it should be?
The budget as requested is linked to how many sites are being guarded. If there's more budget that is required, for example, if there may be, you require more guards at the site because of vandalism and break-in, say you only had one, but because of whatever situation, you need to require more. However, there must be a reason why you put additional guards. That is what, when I stumbled across the ad hoc, I wanted to know what influenced ad hoc? What is your definition of ad hoc? Because you cannot just put additional guards, but nothing has happened to influence that. That is just for me logic. What made you put additional guards there? That for me, it was the crux that I would like to go in more deeper when I come to that topic, why I stopped the ad hoc deployment. If I will be allowed, commissioners, if I can do that. I would really want to, what made me stop it, and I would like to go more deep into that when I come to that paragraph or that heading.
Thank you. Please proceed. We will come back to it. So you had, I think you will start with paragraph 21.
I'm at 12 of 23.
To your statement, if you file one, please, apologies. That is file one, so paragraph 20, we were dealing with paragraph 20 of your statement.
Yes, paragraph
Please
20.
proceed to paragraph 21.
In my capacity as the Chief of TMPD and the accounting officer, I do sign service level agreements drafted by legal services and supply chain management, which relates to TMPD insofar as I may be so authorized directly or through a delegation. Where necessary, I delegate signing powers.
This is probably a small matter, but I'm used to the concept accounting officer in relation to
TMPD.
in this.
To TMPD. Yes.
Is that term
Yes,
ever
Commissioner.
used? Is it ever used? I know of only one accounting officer, which
That's the
would
city
be
manager.
the city manager, yes.
So in my capacity as the Chief of Police of TMPD, comma, I do sign service levels agreement.
I'm not saying you're wrong, you know it better.
No, I think,
It's
no,
just
Commissioner.
It's just that I'm not
Yeah,
used
I agree.
to. Yeah.
I agree, Commissioner.
All right. So we scratch out and accounting officer.
And accounting
in this
officer.
sentence.
Agreed.
All right, thank you.
Agreed, Commissioner.
Thank you.
I have sufficient experience in municipal policing and management of municipal policing, as stated above, since 2016. I've been at the helm of municipal police departments. This position requires you to have ultimate responsibility and oversee the running of the department. However, Commissioners, do not forget, I have deputy commissioners as per page 7, because you cannot expect the president of the country must be responsible for the whole country. That's why he's got ministers. So the same with me. I'm not abdicating my responsibility, definitely not. That's why I meet with my deputy commissioners Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. On a Monday, Deputy Commissioner of Admin and Support is only joining, because on a Wednesday, midweek, we want to see how the crime look. Friday, prepare for the weekend. And then I have a special budget meeting every month. There was times that I didn't have it due to reasons. However, that is the measures I put in place to make sure that I can also have my finger on the pulse. I must continue to caution that my role is management, and therefore I rely on the information provided to me from the deputy commissioners or acting deputy commissioners or any other person who is authorized to perform such. You must also be aware of the various dynamics that have plagued municipalities, such as fraud and corruption. Procurement best practices in terms of C, the law, regulations, and...
Apologies, Commissioner. Chair, I'm not certain where the time for breaking, whether it would be 11 or 11:15 before we start this new topic.
11. So you,
11.
or you want us
may
to
I request
adjourn
that
now
we break
before
at
we
this
start
point?
the procurement best practices?
Correct.
Let's adjourn and resume at 11:25. Yes, Mrs. Kakane.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Commissioner Faro. Would you please then continue from section C, paragraph 23 of your statement? We should be able to move with some sort of speed, but yeah, please take us through.
Thank you. Procurement best practices. The laws, regulations, and policies relating to procurement are all well-meaning and are aiming at ensuring a fair, transparent, and competitive procurement of services and goods. This originates from Section 217 of the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa of 1996, which we also know as the Constitution, which demands that procurement for goods and services by an organ of state must be done in accordance with a system which is fair, equitable, transparent, competitive, and cost-effective. In terms of Chapter 11 of the Local Government Municipal Finance Management Act, number 56 of 2003, the MFMA, deals with the procurement of goods and services for municipalities. Section 111 thereof requires each municipality to have and implement a supply chain management policy. Such as a policy must be fair, equitable, transparent, competitive, and cost-effective. Section 112 sets out what the policy should cover, and I need not regurgitate, save to the highlight the following which is required that the policy should cover. The range of procurement processes that the municipality may use, including tenders, quotations, auctions, and other types of competitive bidding. Procedures and mechanisms for each type of procurement process. Open and transparent pre-qualification processes for tenders or other bids. Bid documentation, advertising, and invitations of contracts. Procedures and mechanisms for the opening, registering, and recording of bids in the presence of interested persons. The evaluation of bids to ensure best value for money, negotiation for the final terms of contracts and approval of bids, then compulsory disclosure of any conflicts of interest in respect of prospective contractors and exclusion of such prospective contractors from the tenders or bids. Participation of persons who are not officials of the municipality, and measures for combating fraud, corruption, favoritism, and unfair and irregular practices, and the promotion or the promoting of the ethics of officials and other role players involved in the procurement process. The city has adopted a supply chain management policy marked herein as Annexure YF1, which is in line with the Constitution and other application legislation, national and local regulations, ordinance, circulars, and policies relating to procurement. The city supply chain management policy has been reviewed and amended from time to time. For present purposes, I will rely on the latest one, which has been adopted by the council. The policy identifies the following as pillars of the city supply chain management. Number 1, or 26.1, fairness and equity. 26.2, transparency. 26.3, competitive and cost-effective. And 26.4, value for money. Paragraph 27. Further, the policy sets out the principles which include accountability, efficiency, effectiveness, fairness, legality, transparency, responsiveness, informed decision-making, integrity, consistency, competitiveness, and sustainability. Paragraph 29. In terms of paragraph 9 of the policy sets out the roles and responsibilities for the various role players in the procurement process. In respect of each, I point out the main responsibilities. Paragraph 9.1, the council must maintain oversight over the implementation of the supply chain management policy. Paragraph 9.2, the executive mayor must provide general political guidance over the fiscal and financial affairs of the municipality as per section 52 of the MFMA. In this regard, he or she may monitor and oversee the exercise of responsibilities assigned to the accounting officer and the chief financial officer, but may not interfere with the exercise of these responsibilities. Paragraph 9.3, the accounting officer is obliged to develop and implement an effective and efficient supply management system that is fair, equitable, transparent, competitive, and cost-effective for the acquisition of goods, services, and works. Paragraph 9.4, the Chief Financial Officer is administratively in charge of the Budget and Treasury Office. He or she must perform budgeting, accounting and analysis, financial reporting, cash management system, debt management, supply chain management, financial management, review and other duties as may be delegated to him or her. It is imperative that there is compliance with procurement processes and principles to ensure that the city, and more relatively, the TMPD functions optimally and properly. Ultimately, the city and or TMPD will procure services and goods in a manner that will be cost efficient and therefore fulfill its mandate in line with the pre-approved plans. It is important to observe that all procurement-related legislation, regulations, and more specifically, the SCM policy are clear on condemning issues that have become notorious in procurement. These include unethical conduct, fraud, corruption, manipulation of procurement, conflict of interest, and misconduct by officials. It is a foresight that leads to tenders being awarded corruptly and goods acquired at or services provided at exorbitant prices or at prices higher than market value. This will exhaust the budget and resources, thus leading to the inability of the municipality or the TMPD in this case to meet its obligations. Moreover, when tenders are awarded in this fashion, the expenditure will be irregular, fruitless, and wasteful. The foresight usually leads to qualified audits from the Auditor General. I now want to turn to deal with the unit which is responsible for asset protection. I want to start with the handover of the...
Commissioner Faro, just before you move on, just as a way of understanding, within TMPD, I would take it obviously you try and ensure that these values and principles are adhered to.
Yes,
Okay?
I agree.
All right. We've seen the testimony of a certain Sergeant Nkosi, who came before the commission, and it was clear, and we're still going to go there, that he had some involvement in how TMPD procured services or in the procurement of services for TMPD. Just as a request for your comment, how would it be correct or wrong for Sergeant Nkosi to have been involved in that fashion?
Sergeant Nkosi had no right to interfere in any procurement-related matters within the TMPD. He has no authority. He had no permission. I was not aware that he is busy interfering. I don't know Sergeant Nkosi. I never made contact with him. The first time I saw Sergeant Nkosi was on the Madlanga Commission. So I want to state it categorically. He had no authority to interfere in any TMPD procurement-related matters.
Are there other Sergeant Nkosis who are interfering in TMPD processes? We've only seen one so far. My worry is that could be the tip of the iceberg.
Commissioner Kumalo, if there's any other persons that is interfering or think of interfering when it comes to TMPD procurement issues, we will deal with them.
Has any politician or political party or somebody outside of the TMPD ever given you an instruction to support any service provider or to appoint any individual to a particular position? Have you, since you have been head of TMPD, ever received pressure from a political party or an outsider to make such appointments, whether they are HR related or procurement related?
None has approached me, Commissioner Kumalo, and I don't think they will.
So you've never yourself experienced
They
that
have
pressure?
not approached me. Since I'm here, I've started the 1st of October, 2023. None of them has contacted me. I've met with nobody on or off record. Nobody has contacted me to date, and they will not contact me after today in terms of any procurement-related issues when it comes to TMPD or to assist with HR-related or appointments. No, Commissioner Kumalo, and I am under oath.
Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Kaka.
Commissioner, you've answered these questions from Commissioner Kumalo, and it's about procurement matters, which is also the focus of your statement. But you would also be aware of our terms of reference, that we're not just confined to looking at matters of corruption that may be limited to procurement. We have a wider mandate that includes infiltration by criminal syndicates, the nature, consequence of infiltration in the facilitation of organized crime, suppression of investigations, inducement into criminal or other unlawful activities, commission of criminal offenses, and then aiding and abetting criminal activity, failure to act on credible intelligence, benefiting financially or politically from syndicate operations.
Yes.
all of that is not directly, yes, it does in the broader scheme of things, encompass procurement, corruption. But what I've read for you now very quickly is wider than that. When it comes to the TMPD, are you not aware of criminal conduct that involves members of the TMPD, even just allegations that would involve members of the TMPD, which is not necessarily about procurement?
Thank you, Commissioner Baloy. Commissioner, we have a very active internal affairs within the Tshwane Metro Police Department, headed by Brigadier Danny Manar. Yes, we came across that, especially when I came to the city of Tshwane. And we've dealt with them through consequence management, quite a few. We have to put also measures in place and make sure from the first supervisor, if your member is found wanting, that first supervisor must also be held accountable. You should know where your member is. So we are putting measures in place to make sure that we have a type of a credible TMPD. I do not take kindly to corruption at all, Commissioner. I do not want to see a TMPD officer that's a criminal in uniform. That is not what I want to stand for. We are in charge of the capital city. We are supposed to be the shining star. So we do put measures in place, and we're coming down harsh on those that, even if it's not to do with procurement, anything that is not within the code of conduct and the oath that they have taken, we need to make sure that we are cleaning up. I'm only talking about TMPD, but we must clean up all the Metro Police departments, including all law enforcement departments. We really need to have an introspect and make sure that we do that. We cannot just say it is not happening in my backyard. However, whatever we pick up, not only through the commission, we need to make sure we put measures in place that it does not happen in your department or in your city or even in the country as a whole.
I may just follow up on my own question. In evidence about another municipality, Metro rather, there are suggestions, for example, that officers are implicated in truck hijackings, for example. I think somewhere there's been suggestions, not necessarily for that municipality, but suggestions about involvement in cash in transit, facilitating those things. Is this an issue that in TMPD you have had to deal with, or you're aware of suggestions and allegations that your officers, some may be involved with that?
When I came to TMPD, it was September. There was a rest of TMPD officers that was involved in I think it was truck hijacking. Truck hijacking, it was involved. That was my welcome to TMPD. So we are not naive, and we know some of the officers can work together. So we are not naive in terms of that. We do make sure that we put measures in place for that. Complaints, when I came, yes, I received complaints like that. In the last year or two, not so much. However, we are not naive that those things are not taking place. There were certain hotspots that I had to put measures in place, whether it is only where it's only for when bribes are taken. Hotspots where you wait for somebody that's coming from a pub, maybe you know people are drunk, which you should not be driving drunk also and not have cash in your car to make sure that you bribe officers. I've requested the officers to actually arrest people that do that. Then I will applaud them. If you arrest somebody that's bribing you, not other way around. So yes, Commissioner, we had that complaints. We are putting measures in place, definitely in that regard. I've got the integrity unit as well. And besides the internal affairs unit, now the integrity unit visit the parades. The integrity unit goes to these hotspots to see where we get complaints from. They mostly deal only with fraud and corruption cases. So yes, Commissioner, we do have to put extra measures in place. You cannot just have your normal measures in place.
Thank you.
Can I just follow up on this? And Commissioner Faro, to be fair to you, you don't have to respond now, so you can do it by way of a supplementary statement. Issues arose with another municipality. There was no specific allegation against TMPD. So remember you said you were going to deal with the vetting issue and the BAC issue in the supplementary. So can you add these two other issues? How TMPD responds to IPID's recommendations. So in other words, if there was an investigation by IPID and they have made recommendations that have to be implemented by TMPD, what is TMPD's attitude to that? Because we have heard from Ekurhuleni, for example, that if somebody is being charged criminally, then they don't act against that person internally. They await the outcome of the criminal case before they act against somebody, even if there's clear evidence of wrongdoing, especially misconduct of a serious nature, which falls short of criminal conduct. That's the third issue, how you deal with IPID. The fourth issue, it came up, but there was no specific allegation against TMPD, is the issue of whether there are any private companies or security companies that use blue lights and have been given that authority by TMPD, if you are aware of any such cases within TMPD. So please don't respond now, it's unfair to put you on the spot, but by way of a supplementary statement, you can cover those issues.
I will most definitely do that, Commissioner Khumalo, definitely.
And I think the evidence leaders will assist you and remind you if needs be.
They don't need to remind me, Commissioner Khumalo, you will have it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank
May
you.
I continue?
No, just to follow up on the question before one forgets. You talk about measures in place that have been put in. If you can just explain just briefly, what kind of measures would those be, one? And two, when would you say those measures were effective, if you were to assist? And I'm asking this because some of the things that we'll go through later on would have happened after you joined. So I just want to get clarity on that before we go further, while we're dealing with this aspect.
You referring to in terms of misconduct or what we are currently dealing with?
Just ensuring that there is no corruption, fraud, and all of those things. You spoke about having put measures in place.
As I said, we want to make sure that like Commissioner Baloy has alluded to, corruption is not only when it comes to the tender side, and that is that's one part of it. Corruption also when you stop a vehicle, when you accept goods that you're not supposed to, and you're not issuing the fine that you're not supposed to issue. Corruption can be anything. Giving information you're not supposed to give to assist in a tender. So, in terms of the discipline side, as I said, we had the integrity unit already in place. However, we also encourage the public to report. We encourage the public to report any form of corruption when it comes to TMPD and not only report it on social media. We want the public to be part of cleaning up any law enforcement department, obviously, but we would like them also not to participate in any form of corruption, whether it is a fine that you want to get out of or because you are driving drunk. In terms of the procurement side that you alluded to, Obviously, we've picked up, number one, you have a deputy in charge, which is it's a major general, it's quite a high level of accountability. It's just under the Commissioner of Police. By putting a deputy commissioner in charge of administration of support, that is quite a huge thing. However, we all know why are we here, and we all know why TMPD is here, and obviously people will also come before the commission to explain their role in terms of what they did or what they were not supposed to do. We have meetings, as I said, we have regular meetings in that regard. We also make sure that accountability is also for each and every deputy commissioner. But as I say, we're moving forward. We take everything that comes to us. I'm going to plan a very big workshop from the top until the full colonels, so that we can look at each and every measure and make sure that whatever there is that shouldn't have happened and cannot happen, that we will put that measures in place as well. And then each and everyone must take accountability for it.
Thank you. Perhaps before we move on again, you talk about meetings with your deputy commissioners. How often do you have meetings with them, or how often do you require briefings from them?
3 times a week, I'm meeting with my deputy commissioners, 7:30 in the morning until completion, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays.
And they would brief you about everything that is important, and you'd ask questions, or you'd rely on them to give you any update?
Correct. Correct.
Thank you.
But it doesn't stop them from making contact with me after the meeting or in the in-between dates if emergency occurs.
Thank you. Please proceed to the handover of asset protection to TMPD.
Handover of asset protection to TMPD. This section aims to highlight the movement of the Asset Protection and Security Services Unit, APSS, to Tshwane Metro Police Department in respect of this process. I highlight the following. The City of Tshwane Security Division was incorporated into the TMPD when TMPD was established 2002. On 15 April 2021, the then Executive Mayor of Tshwane, Councillor Randall Williams, placed the asset protection function and personnel in the office of the City Manager, reporting to Mr. Nava Pillay. Then, from December 2023 till June 2024, the Asset Protection Security Services was managed by Mrs. Paledi Marota, the Group Head in the Office of the City Manager. 1st July 2024, the City Manager transferred the Asset Protection Security Service back to the care of Tshwane Metro Police Department. I then instructed Deputy Commissioner Bollys, responsible for training and innovation, and standing in as the staff officer, to oversee this process in light of the imperative need for a senior figure at the level of a rank of Deputy Commissioner to manage the process, which comprised of a wide range of junior level officials. It might also note that in terms of APSS, there is a lot of supervisory staff that is still required. This was intended to be a temporary measure while I started the process to appoint a fully fledged Deputy Commissioner for Asset Protection Security Services. At the time of the handover of APSS back to TMPD, 1st July 2024, I did not receive a handover report. A report was then emailed to me by Group Head Paledi Marota 9 months later during April 2025. What this meant, Commissioners, is that for the longest time, I could not properly acquaint myself with what was happening with APSS. However, I did not wait for a handover report to try and understand the complexity of APSS. The process of handover was not a usual handover, which had clear guidelines and made the process extremely complicated, as can be seen by the email attached and the report marked herein as Annexer YF2, which is in the bundle. As I stated above, the APSS is a huge responsibility. Bearing in mind, Commissioners, I still have a TMPD to run. And as could be imagined, involves the physical security services to protecting the assets and persons of the city of Tshwane. It was imperative for me that I get someone senior in rank to temporarily oversee, as I already alluded to, and that was Deputy Commissioner Bollys, and he was overseeing the unit from 1st of July 2024 until 28th of February 2025, whereas 1st of March 2025, I've appointed Deputy Commissioner Revo Spies, and he became the head of the unit.